Yo, 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 what is up, y'all? My name is Robert Donaldson, and welcome back to another edition of Rob's Best Bets. And we are once again talking about college hoops here on this fine Sunday. And on Saturday, we had a couple conference tournaments for us, at least in terms of our futures, come to an end. And in terms of our straight bets, you know, we went 6-4 against the spread, which is definitely very nice. But man, Marquette, Brown, Ohio State to start the day, we had a 90% cover probability in the final 1 minute of all of those games, and we went 0-3. And, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. College basketball can be very, very volatile because of the actual scoring aspect and the fact that you can get 2 points and 3 points in chunks. So, yeah, very, very tough and unfortunate there, but we definitely rebounded to end the day. We finished the day very, very strong, and our Omaha hedge, you know, unfortunately that came through. Obviously, we would have loved to have South Dakota advance on to the championship game, but that's exactly why we hedge out of some of these futures. And when we're looking at this slate on Sunday, it's a small slate, but I think it's a really great slate, and we have a lot of futures actually alive in the championship games of their conference tournaments tomorrow, and I am so excited to give you guys an update on the back end of this episode. But with all that being said, y'all, I'm ready to hop into these Sunday picks. All right, first up, we are heading out to the Big South Championship game, where we have a really nice future on Winthrop. It's 9.5 to 1 our money. We have one unit, which is essentially acting as a Winthrop money line in this spot. And I'm going to have a futures update for that future on the back end of these picks. But in this actual game, we're seeing a spread of 6.5. And even with a pretty large stake, or at least pretty big share of the money line in this game, I do think that Winthrop is going to be capable of covering this number. Heck, they're getting 2 possessions and a hook in this game on the spread. And listen, we're going to have an update on the actual futures aspect of this game, but that's going to be on the back end. And in terms of straight bets, I absolutely love taking the spread with Winthrop. So let's go ahead and bet it for 3 units for our first bet here on Sunday. For pick number 2, we are heading out to the ASUN Conference Championship game, where once again, we have a really large stake in the money line on North Alabama. And we're looking at the spread here as well. You know, it's not 6.5, but it's 5.5. And I do think that North Alabama ends up actually winning this game. And spoiler alert, I'll even say it on the back end of this video as well, but we're going to let our North Alabama moneyline future ride in this championship game. But in terms of the 5.5 spread, once again, I really like taking those points as well. So let's go ahead and bet North Alabama covering the 5.5 points for 3 units for our second bet here on Sunday. For pick number 3, we are heading out to the Patriot League Conference Tournament, where we have Colgate taking on American. And when you're looking at this matchup here, American swept their regular season series, but on the back end of their seasons, I kind of felt like Colgate was actually playing the better basketball. And I think part of that kind of factors into the fact that Colgate, coming into the year, had a very young roster, which is a little bit abnormal because they are usually coming in with a lot of veterans and they're running through conference play en route to a number 1 seed. And usually during the conference tournament, they are at the very top and making it look very, very easy. But this year, they are sitting in a kind of an underdog role. And I do think that because of them peaking at the end of the season, it's going to lend themselves to actually catching a lot of value right now, especially with having a losing record. And in this game, it's a short number, and I feel like it's a short number for a reason. And for that reason, I say we go ahead and bet Colgate, getting the 1.5 points here for 3 units for our third bet here on Sunday. For pick number 4, we are heading out to the CAA tournament, where we have Delaware taking on William & Mary. And William & Mary really hasn't been the same ever since Noah Collier went out with an injury. And that's kind of why at the top of this bracket with Drexel and Towson, we have 2 futures on both of those teams. And that's a really big reason also that I think we're seeing such a short line in this game going up against a team like Delaware. And listen, I don't think Delaware has championship, viability in this conference tournament, but in this one-off game, I do think they have the ability to upset William and Mary, and I say we go ahead and take those 2.5 points for 2 units for our fourth bet here on Sunday. All right, for our final bet here on Sunday, we are heading out to the SoCon, where we have VMI taking on Wofford. And as you guys know from our SoCon Conference Tournament Futures episode, I highlighted the 7 seed. I said, normally in the SoCon Tournament, at an alarmingly high rate, the 7 seed comes from that playing game and goes on a little bit of a run, usually en route to the championship game. But again, I don't think that VMI has the chops to actually make the championship, let alone win the championship, let alone even win the semifinals. And Wofford actually kind of feels like maybe the dark horse that can upset a Furman or a Chattanooga from the top side of the bracket. And for that reason, I say we go ahead and lay the 9.5 points here with the Terriers for 2 units for our final bet here on Sunday. All right, so that does us for our straight bets here on Sunday, and now we are on to the futures update, and we're going to lead off with the Big South Tournament. It tips off at noon Eastern Time, and obviously, again, we have a 9.5-1 future on Winthrop. We have 1 unit on them as well, so if they do end up winning the Big South Tournament, they are going to profit us 9.5 units, and that's where it makes it a little bit interesting, because High Point's best money line currently on the market is minus 225, and I don't really want to lay, something like a 5-unit wager or a 6-unit wager on that number, because the juice kind of eats it up and almost makes it kind of obsolete in terms of kind of finding the best balance in that spot. But, in this conference tournament, we have 1.5 units wagered in terms of our futures. We had a half unit on Radford that lost. We have 1 unit on Winthrop, and I think if we break even and just get that 1.5 units back in the event that High Point wins, I'm totally fine with that. And I also think that having that upside of leveraging that 9.5 unit payout is 100% worth it. So let's go ahead and bet that High Point money line at minus 225 for 3.38 units to win 1.50 units. If you have a different High Point money line, I recommend the same strategy. Just get those 1.50 units back. But in the event that Winthrop does win, we are still going to be able to net 6.12 units. And obviously, I am totally fine with that on a Winthrop future. And in the process of that as well, we would also be covering our straight bet of plus 6.5. So that's going to be our first futures hedge here in the update. And now let's go ahead and move on to the next one here. All right, so for this next update here, let's go ahead and head out to the ASUN championship game where we have North Alabama. And we have a future on them, 2 units wagered, plus 250. And essentially that's acting as our money line in this game against Lipscomb. And no hedge here. I don't think that we have enough equity to hedge. And honestly, I think North Alabama is going to win this game. And that would lead to a 5-unit payout. If you really do want to leverage something there, maybe bet a couple units on Lipscomb to get back or at least eat into this 2 units that we wagered on North Alabama. But I don't think that's necessary there. So write it confidently. And next, let's go ahead and head out to the Sun Belt, where we have 2 futures facing off against each other in the semifinal round. We have Troy and James Madison. And this one might seem a little bit more straightforward, and you're right. It's 100% straightforward. We are just letting this game play out the way that it plays out. And in the championship game, we are not going to be looking to hedge regardless of who comes out of that South Alabama-Arkansas State game. I think the best team left in the tournament resides in this game, whether that's Troy or James Madison. Personally, I do want Troy because I think they're actually the better team, but we're going to let this play out the way that it plays out and be happy with the result. And for our final futures update, we are heading out to the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, where we have a really nice future on Bradley, 1.5 units wagered at plus 340. And in this championship game against Drake, it's a relative pick'em in terms of the actual spread. And yes, I do think that it could go ultimately either way, but we have a really nice moneyline price here on Bradley, and I really like how they're playing. Duke Dean is playing some of his best ball of the season, and they have a host of guards that I think are really peaking at the perfect time. Yes, Drake is going to be motivated to win this game, but I think Bradley, with all the expectations and the fact that they actually beat Drake the last time these two teams played each other, is going to serve as a massive motivational factor here. And for that reason, I say we just go ahead and let Bradley ride out on the money line for 1.5 units at plus 340. And that's going to do it for our futures update. Obviously, we have Furman in the semifinal round, but ultimately, I don't think that deserves an update because we don't have enough equity in that game to really do anything with. We also have Towson and Drexel in the CAA facing each other in the semifinal round as well, which is really great there. But with all that being said, y'all, let's go ahead and have a really great end to the week here on Sunday. And if you guys do have any questions, throw them down in the comments below, or even just message me on Twitter, with that reply or with a DM. I'd be more than happy to respond. But with all that being said, y'all, I will see you in a future video. Take it easy.